Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is just another tinfoil hat, and welcome to my show. Come freely, go safely, and leave something of the happiness you bring. Sorry. So, today's show has to do with one of those things that I just love to hate. Elementals. Or should I say the paranormal's junk drawer. I feel kind of bad saying I hate them. Hope they don't come and, spoil my milk during the night. Oh well, that's the risk I take. So, elementals, what are they? And why do I hate them so much? Well, elementals are nature, spirit, being things. They're not really spirits, they're not really creatures. There's something sort of in between and outside, and I don't know. The idea is pretty much in every culture. The ones we're dealing with today are the typical Western idea of elementals. These were standardized back in the 16th century by Paracelsus, father of toxicology. They're divided into the four conventional Western elements of earth, air, fire, and water. So corresponding to each of these elements are the gnomes, the sylphs, the salamanders, and the undines. A quick note on the salamanders, I'm not talking about the amphibian, which actually was named after the elemental. Back in the Middle Ages, people put old rotting wet logs on the fire, like damp logs, and so the poor little amphibious salamanders on the inside of the logs would realize that their homes were burning up, and so they'd jump out. And so Middle Ages people that they were, they saw the little amphibians jumping out of the flames and thought to themselves, "It be birthed a flame." So yeah, on a side note, that is how the amphibian salamander got its name. The truth of it is that elementals in their element, no pun intended, I have no issue with. I think that potentially the way that we categorize them is a little outmoded. Back in the day, people would see wildmen specifically in the hills of Italy, and they would call them sylphs. They'd see fiery yellow orbs in the sky and call them salamanders. So, kind of like how fairy abductions and alien abductions are probably, in all actuality, the same thing. The more we know about the phenomenon and the more we study it, the less we need that system. I mean, to be honest, it's from the 16th century, so it's had a good run. It's had a good life. So truthfully, the idea, though, behind it that nature itself can possess a spirit or a sentience of its own is very intriguing. Even Nikola Tesla, who was only the greatest guy ever, said that crystals were living things at the dawn of time. So who really knows? My personal stance is that the only elemental I can't chalk up to something else are the gnomes. You would be surprised at the prevalence of gnomes worldwide, and that's the only one that, seriously, you can try and make it fit, say, oh, well, maybe it's aliens, or maybe it's really short, primate things, but it just doesn't work. In all actuality, the gnome phenomenon is strong. Whereas the other ones, like the sylphs specifically, are really closely associated to the Nordic phenomenon of, more UFO-related stuff. Same with the salamanders. Fiery orbs in the sky are a UFO phenomenon these days. The undines, dude, I don't even know what to make of the whole mermaid idea. I just don't. But yeah, but gnomes. Gnomes are the holdout of the elementals. It's pretty amazing. So the thing that I feel like is necessary to drive home is that we don't know. When it comes down to it, humanity's quest is to understand ourselves and to understand the universe, and we really do not really know. And so that's what I have a problem with, is when we have something in the paranormal that we don't know how to categorize, we don't know how to deal with, is smacking the elemental stamp on it and calling it a day. Because this field, the field of the paranormal, is filled with crop circles. It's filled with goatmen. It's filled with giant frog people that spy on parked cars on lovers' lanes. And not all of this will make sense. So, the Dover Demon, the Enfield Horror, the Freiburg Shrieker, even hauntings with no probable cause, people just, shoot their hand in the air and, wave it around and shout, "Elemental, elemental." And I say, why? Because the thing of it is what is an elemental? It's a nature spirit attached to some aspect of nature. And so my issue with that is that with no real evidence, if someone has a tricky thing that they can't easily pin down on Bigfoot or aliens or sea serpents, they just say, oh, what, it had like 3 legs, 2 arms, it jumped like a kangaroo, it had red eyes. Elemental. Yeah, that. See, because that is the thing, is that when you name something, you do two things. You say, I know, and you don't. And you disallow further questions. So technically, yeah, that's actually 3 things, but whatever. I'm not saying that elementals don't or can't exist. I'm saying that there is, unexplained phenomena that would fit the elemental bandwagon, especially gnomes. Don't forget the gnomes. But what I am saying is that, you wouldn't call poltergeist activity Bigfoot unless you saw a Bigfoot. Elemental is not an umbrella term. If we have something we can't categorize, don't. Forgive me, this is going to be remarkably lame. You got a ghost, but nobody to blame. Got an Enfield horror without a real name. Call 1-800-ELEMENTAL. Yeah. No. Doing.